Welcome back.
Now, how many of you know about the object in Greenland? A couple of you, okay. Well, for those of you that don't know, there is a spacecraft that has melted out of the ice in Greenland. As you know, the North Pole has melted completely. You can go from London to Moscow or to Russia by going over the North Pole now. All the ice cap is gone. The last place that has ice on it was Greenland. Greenland had a 18,000-foot ice cap on it. Well, the spacecraft that is anchored in the center of Greenland created the last ice age 50,000 years ago. It's a weather machine. It's 55 miles wide, 300 miles long, and 2 miles high. The people that lived in it were called the Mois. If you draw a straight line from the spacecraft to the Washington Monument in Washington, D.C., through the Yucatan Peninsula Great Pyramid at Mitsubishi, and ends up on Easter Island where the Mois have been dug out of the dirt. The heads on Easter Island, well, 2 years ago they finally went ahead and they excavated, and they're all 65 to 85 foot people, full body carvings. And these were the people that lived in the spacecraft that was uncovered that's melting out of the ice in Greenland. So when you think we've been alone, these people have been up there for 50,000 years. The spacecraft is still active after 50,000 years. It has a 200-mile dampening field where no electrons can flow into it. In 1947, a B-52 bomber flew into that pattern, into the dampening field, when trying to fly between Maine and London. As a result of that, they lost power and crashed in Greenland. As they sent in rescue B-52 bombers to rescue them, they hit that same dampening field, but they veered off. They just ricocheted off of it. By testing, trying to get to these guys, they were able to bring a circumference and find out that there was an object 200 miles to the center of this field. On the southwest corner of Greenland, there is a small community. It's the only community on the island of Greenland. That community is a military post, CIA, that uses a compressed air generator to operate diesel engines to run a Caterpillar to run back and forth to 200 miles from the base to the object in Greenland. A lot of our technology comes from the reverse engineering out of the spacecraft. It is still functional and is still in operation. So it's pretty important what this thing is. All the nations worldwide are up there with the United Nations.
Doesn't this remind you of the 1998 X-Files movie where the UFO came out of the ice? Love that show. I searched. Before you were able to see that object on Google Earth in the late 2000s. Not anymore. After some digging, I found it. This is the far view. Close view. This object was south of the summit. Now that area accidentally was patched. You don't say. Greenland has a lot of history events like alleged UFO, army bases, testing, and more. And also the mustache guy allegedly had a few machines over there. All this somewhat is synchronized with the Indian ancient Vimanas.
Something that nobody in the healthcare system knows. Nobody, Casey didn't learn this at Stanford.
I never ever learned in medical school or residency that I could write a prescription for food or exercise. It's totally legal, and if you do that, it can be covered by, you can use tax advantage dollars tax-free. Never learned that in 9 years.
So you mean you could use tax dollars to give people gym memberships?
Yes.
Yes.
That is right now legal. I never learned that. It's called a letter of medical necessary. So
our company TrueMed has this year will do 500,000 gym membership recommendations from providers. We initially got a lot of questions from the industry because they've never heard these letters of medical necessity. We've walked in the law. As much as Pfizer has tried when I worked for Pfizer, the definition of medicine in the IRS tax code is not a synthetic pill made by a large pharmaceutical industry. The definition of medicine is something that's recommended by a medical practitioner for the prevention, reversal, cure, mitigation of a condition. The problem is that they've co-opted what medicine is in our brains, and at Stanford Med School, nobody understands this. So we've actually been educating members of Congress about this. But there's $150 billion in these HSA funds, and this is a message to everyone. Our company's doing it, but I would say it's much wider than that. Go to your doctor and demand a letter of medical necessity when they're taking out the prescription pad for the statin, for the metformin, for the SSRI, right? Every American, the most defiant thing you can do personally, 80% of people have an HSA and FSA account.
Is it in the best interest for certain entities to have returning customers? Is there any beneficial gain? At the end of the day, who can we blame? Objects in the mirror are closer than they appear. This mirror might be broken. It seems it doesn't reflect the same thing as it sees.
Well, you can stop buying AA batteries. These are lithium-ion AA batteries. They're 3,000 megawatt hours at 1.5 volts, and they're rechargeable. These are going to outperform your normal batteries, your standard ones, by leaps and bounds. And these will last longer in your devices, and this whole case closes and charges with a USB-C port. All your devices should have these lithium-ion AA batteries. TikTok actually has a really good deal on these right now, so you can get an awesome deal. I'm going to put the link at the bottom of the screen right here. Well, you can stop buying AA batteries. These are lithium-ion AA batteries. They're 3,000 megawatt. I'm going to put the link at the bottom of the screen right here.
I wonder which one lasts longer, the Harbor Freight rechargeable batteries or these Seaport batteries. Make the price make sense.
They're about to do something in LA that will blow your mind. And I know you remember people saying that there are cities underground. Well, allegedly in LA, that's what they're planning on. Take a look at this.
So if LA couldn't get any creepier with all the problems of crime and homeless, I ran into this billboard on this lot. So this is a vacant lot for construction. And it says, "Live life deeper, 144 stories underground. You may never go outside again."
That sign just said that you may never go outside again. So now you have to think, who are they building these places for? And with everything going on in the world right now, it's real convenient that they're building communities underground. But my question is, why wouldn't you be able to come outside again? Why are they building these buildings?
Well, that's BS. When I seen this, it made me laugh. Here are the reasons. In Los Angeles, we have a building named the Graffiti Tower. It costed a lot of money, and they suddenly stop halfway for many reasons. Permits, this, that. Also, people would rather spend money on property near or close to the public metro system, since they will increase in value over time. But this doesn't mean there are no caves or tunnels under the cities. They're just not public to anyone.
The reason why we put all these vitamins and minerals and trace minerals into animal feeds is simply because we don't have insurance for them. We don't have Blue Cross, Blue Shield, major medical, hospitalization, Medicare, Medicaid, or Hillary to watch out for them. And if we were to use a human healthcare type of system for animals, it'd be sticker shock for everybody. Your hamburger would cost you $275 a pound, dozen eggs be $50. So we learned that we could keep the cost of animal products such as meat and dairy and poultry and eggs down to where the average person could afford them simply by reducing or eliminating the healthcare cost. And we do this by preventing and curing diseases in animals with nutrition. And my job was to do autopsies of animals that died of natural causes in the big zoos around the United States. After having worked on this project for some 12 plus years, I had done 17,500 autopsies on over 454 species of animals, plus 3,000 human beings for comparison. And what I learned was that every animal and every human being who dies of natural causes dies of a nutritional deficiency disease.
How much money does a cow that produces Wagyu and Kobe beef cost in Japan? Imagine the insurance cost for that type of cattle.
The bumblebee, when he starts to beat his wings, when he starts to flap his wings, there's a little cavity, a hollow cavity next to the larynx inside his system that's hollow. And when he beats his wings, he starts to resonate this energy, and it goes back and forth, just similar to a guitar strumming on one side of the room and hitting the same chord on the other side of the room, or somebody hitting a high C and breaking a crystal. It's the same thing, it's resonance. And he said what they do, they resonate. And when they resonate, they eventually reach the resonance of the field around them. And he says once this bumblebee hits that resonant frequency of its surroundings, it becomes a free agent. It creates a magnetic bubble around itself, and it can go anywhere it wants. And I said, well, that's not in any of the science books. He said, I know. You probably never see it there either, but that's what happens. They'll discover it someday and bring it out, but it's just we have a conventional way of doing things, and then we have a natural way of doing things, and they're totally different. They're diametrically opposed.
The important point here is the bees. As you've heard, the bumblebee shouldn't really be able to fly. Those wings are way too small to lift that chubby little body off the ground. In fact, it's a bit of a conundrum also for the mainstream scientists. They can travel in perfectly straight lines for long distances without any deviation, even during a howling crosswind. Because of the resonant frequencies produced by the vibration of their wings, they create a bubble in the ether, protecting...
He's talking about this book. We do have some credible, honest media, US Today, that fact-checked this for us. Let's see. Now let's check this human specimen. What are his credentials? This gets my mind rolling. What will happen if bees were extinct? Is there any balance of male and female trees in the city? I mean, how often you walk into the streets and pick a fruit? Do female trees produce allergy-inducing pollen? Who benefits if I get allergies or can pick fruit from the streets? Enjoy.
You cannot tax billionaires on the shares that they hold in a company because it is an unrealized gain, right? So they go like, yeah, you're worth 300 billion, but we can't tax you on those stocks because you haven't sold the shares, so you don't like have the money, right? But you're worth the money, but you don't have the money. And so, and I understand the argument. They go like, no, you don't have it. It's just what it's worth, because it will also crash, and then you have nothing, so we can't tax you on it. Then I'm like, okay, I understand that. So you can't tax the people on a thing because they don't have it. It's just there. Okay, fine. Then Elon Musk offers to buy Twitter, all right? He offers to buy it. And then he says, in his offer, he goes, I'm putting up my Tesla stock as collateral. Then I'm like, so you do have it? Then he's like, no, I don't have it. I'm just going to say as collateral. So then they accept the offer. He now buys Twitter. Now that they've accepted his offer, he now goes to private equity and banks and like other rich people and whatever. He goes like, can you guys borrow me the money to buy Twitter? And then he's like, I want to buy Twitter because I don't want to sell any of my Tesla shares. So I want to use your money to buy Twitter. And then it's like, but then they're like, what are we loaning it against? And he's like, well, my Tesla shares. Then I'm going like, wait. So you can buy a thing based on what you have. Yes. But when we want to tax you, you can say, I don't have it. Do you hear what I'm saying here? And now, like, just think of like the illogic of it. It's like it's such a fun game that like billionaires get to play because all their money is in that, right? Like if you earn your money as a salary, that your money just gets taxed. That's it.
This book was one of the books that got my gears rolling. This book made me understand a bit. Let me give you a riddle. If I lend you $1 million and told you that you have 24 hours to double it into $2 million, to keep that money I lend you for free, zero charge, what will you do? Is it possible to get a loan to reflect that $2 million on paper? No.
Right here, this, whatever this is, this right here, we think it's air. But I realized that if I stop, close my nose and mouth for 4 minutes, if I'm separated from this substance for 4 minutes, my heart don't stop. My brain don't even stop. My body functions don't stop. The first thing I lose is consciousness. I pass out. I can no longer stay aware. So I started to say, well, wait a minute. I'm not just breathing in air. I'm breathing in consciousness. I'm inhaling and exhaling God itself. And this air.
The teacher, boom back.
People are just finding out about the most dangerous movie ever made, and I guarantee it's not what you think. This movie was never even finished because every single actor in it died. Atuk was actually a comedy movie based on an Inuit man who just moved to New York and was adjusting to his life. Seems harmless, right? But it gets disturbing when they started casting the lead role. First of all was a comedy legend John Belushi, who was cast as the lead starring role. Only days after receiving the script, he was found dead from an overdose. Next up was actor Sam Kinison, who actually begun filming this movie when he then died in a car crash a couple of days later. Still a coincidence? Well, then shortly after, John Candy came, started filming, and a couple of days later died from a heart attack. Chris Farley then came on and actually managed to get quite a way through the filming before then dying from an overdose again. And then one of the craziest parts is they finally cast this guy, Phil Hartman, who then was actually murdered shortly after the filming begun. While there is genuine documentation that this film was real and these things did actually happen, but it remains almost a crazy urban legend in the field, and do you think it's a coincidence or...
This guy bought the rights. Brave muchacho. But I guess some people see these items as art. Just ask the owner of Annabelle. I wonder what religion he practiced.
It is freaking creepy. 8:41. Somebody knocks on the door. And then, hold on. Check out their outfits.
They're wearing two different dresses from what they were wearing.
Is nothing compared to what they were wearing.
And we saw them. They had polka dots. They had the dresses from
go
the...
Go back to the other one.
We literally just saw them and they were wearing...
And, like, go fast forward, like, it changes color. Watch, go fast
right
forward.
As soon as they get over there out of our porch.
What the heck is this? Is this at 8:41?
Look, they have
and they said they were missionary, you know.
But missionaries don't come at 9 p.m. though. That's
I asked them, you know, that, you know, it's late, and they left. And he said, I'm sorry, not trying to be rude.
The struggles of a missionary, right? And the beauty of infrared. This question teleports me to the past. Is the dress blue-black, or is it white and gold? Let's ask ChatGPT.
If you don't know why they're trying to get rid of cash, watch this. Wait for the end for solutions.
I have a $50 bill, and I give it to the barber for my haircut, and then he goes and buys groceries with it from the grocer, and the grocer goes and gets his car washed. The $50 goes from place to place, and after 20 or 30 transactions, the $50 bill belongs to somebody, and it's worth $50. Whereas if I pay by card, 1.5% goes to the bank. And then if he takes the money I've given him and pays for the groceries, 1.5% goes to the bank. And after the groceries have been paid for, when he goes to get his car washed, 1.5% goes to the bank. So after 20 or 30 transactions, $50 is gone, the bank has it all. I think that's why they're so desperate to get rid of cash. It's interesting. CBDCs are the next level because once the money's completely digital, then they control everything you do with it. They control where it goes, but they can also control how and when it can be spent. Imagine some terrible future dystopian society where your money arrives and they say it can only be spent on food. Or it can only be spent on vegetables because you've had too much meat this week. Or you can't buy transport to a particular area because there's resistance to government oppression in that area. So your money won't work for trains right now because nobody can go down there because we don't want everyone in a large group. We want everyone at home in their pods. And they can track everywhere it goes, and they can also track how it's spent, and they control how it's spent. They put time limit on it. You have an hour to spend this money. It's scary. Like, think of all the ways they can inflict control over it.
I'm doing a weekly class, link is in my bio, or say class below this, and I'll show you how to be in a position to say F you to all of that, to digital IDs, to the mark of the beast, whatever they're going to pull with this 3-eye atlas, all of it. So drop class below this. And
so that means we're playing poker. The sad thing is that no one did nothing when the gold standard left. Nobody did nothing when the shots were given. Nobody did nothing when the files came out. Let's look at the mirror again. Change starts with us. But sadly, it's becoming more like this.
Este pastor luterano asegura que lo que vas a ver en este vídeo es completamente real y que nunca bromearía con estas cosas. Se encontraba hablando sobre cómo tenemos autoridad sobre el diablo a través de la palabra de Dios. Míralo con atención y dime qué te parece.
That you have authority over the devil. I double dog dare the devil to do what? To deal with the Word of God. And that's what these guys are doing. They're dealing with the Word of God.
After more than 14 years, this video still kicks. Thank you, Paul, for the video.
We all saw Lady Gaga show up at the Super Bowl to support Benito, Bad Bunny, right? But knowing Lady Gaga and how she does all her witchcraft in her videos and everything, I was like, let me see the occult symbology behind the whole thing. I saw her dress and the red shoes. So right away, my head's going to the Red Shoe Club and what does this blue dress mean? Because I knew it already meant, it had something to do with like, you know, the Madonna, the divine feminine and all this. Then I looked into it and the blue dress is actually something very important in the occult symbology. It represents the High Priestess. The High Priestess is the second major arcana card in the cartomantic tarot decks. It is based on the second trump of tarot card packs. That's right, Trump. The name Trump also has to do with tarot cards. And MAGA means magicians. But let's get back to our video. 18th century woodcut tarot de Marseille. This figure is crowned with the papal tiara and labeled La Papessa, the Popess. Sometimes it's not even about just the blue dress. It's more about the esoteric symbolism that the color blue is acting like a spiritual frequency wrapped around the body. Think of it as a visual spell of mood and meaning. So the most common occult associations are the divine feminine and heavenly current. Blue is often linked to the celestial feminine, the sky womb, the cosmic mother archetype, the Western mysticism. It echoes figures like Mary, Isis, and Sophia. The blue dress becomes a robe of sacred feminine authority. Then there is the truth and hidden knowledge. In esoteric systems, blue is the color of truth, revelation, and inner knowing. Wearing blue can symbolize someone who sees beyond the veil or carries secret wisdom. And this is exactly what I think Lady Gaga was doing dressed in her blue dress with her red shoes. It all means something. So in a way, she was doing some spiritual shielding for Bad Bunny as she came to his rescue because everyone was attacking him. He said that he was getting death threats, blah, 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 and things like that. Another thing occult symbolism is tied to the blue dress is intuition, dreams, and psychic sensitivity, where we've all seen Lady Gaga interpret vampires, having her meat suits, promoting cannibalism, just like Marina Abramovich and all of that. So when are we going to wake up and realize that even songs like Abracadabra, if you go and translate it from the Latin meaning, the entire song says, or love me or you will die. Then we also have the throat chakra, the voice and spellcraft. In chakra system, blue corresponds to the throat center, speech, vibration, manifestation through words. A blue dress can symbolize a messenger, oracle, or truth speaker. The blue dress, the high priestess, bringing in the new initiate, makes sense.
Cool story. But you have to remember that Romans used games as a distraction from taxes. Meaning, bread and circus. Are you not entertained?
Why are they keeping this a secret? Electric cars existed long before Tesla and hybrids.
In the early 1900s, electric cars were very popular. 1/3 of all cars in the US were electric. Today, it's much less than 1%. So what happened? The government and oil companies saw electric cars as a threat to their profits. They had invested a lot in gasoline technology and infrastructure. To protect their interests, they made laws and rules favoring gasoline cars. But it gets worse. In 1980, Stanley Meyer invented a car that ran on water. His water fuel cell split water into hydrogen and oxygen. He was close to changing technology forever, but Meyer was stopped. He was sued, his patents were taken away, and he got many threats. In 1998, Meyer had a sudden heart attack after drinking cranberry juice. As he was dying, he kept saying, "They killed me, they killed me." After his death, the water engine disappeared, and the electric cars came back. When do you think they will bring back the water fuel cell?
Don't get angry about those old electric vehicles, because allegedly they emit a lot of EMF. I don't think the new ones emit any. The good thing is that the vehicle and oil companies bought majority transportation trolleys to keep us safe in their well-invested petroleum vehicles. Drill, baby, drill.
Did you know that Listerine was never designed to be a mouthwash? Most people have no idea what this stuff was originally used for. Listerine was invented in the late 1800s as a surgical antiseptic, something strong enough to disinfect wounds, clean operating tables, and sterilize medical equipment. It wasn't designed for oral care at all. In the early 1900s, they were even promoting it as a floor cleaner and a household disinfectant. But the real turning point came when Listerine sales started to drop, so they entered a new market. They pivoted into oral care and launched one of the most aggressive marketing campaigns in history. They hired hundreds of doctors to recommend it as an oral antiseptic, even though it began as a cleaning product for your floor. No wonder studies are now showing Listerine can disrupt your oral microbiome and even raise your blood pressure. Make sure to share this with someone who needs to see this.
Well, some sort of started as tonic or medicine in the early days. I mean, there's so many companies that started with something. Well, that's it for today. Thank you for joining me. Until then, bye.